So let's talk about the 7 key strategies to finding acting work. Many actors think that there's only one strategy, which is responding to casting calls online. But that's probably the least effective strategy. In another video, I've talked about the whole concept of being a cognitive miser. Cognitive meaning thinking, miser meaning cheap. Most people are naturally cognitive misers, meaning they're cheap with thought. We don't want to expend too much mental energy thinking outside the box or trying to figure out new ways to do things. Unfortunately, submitting directly to casting calls online is pretty much the easiest and least thought-intensive process, which also means that most people are doing that, which also means the competition is way higher, which also means it's probably the least effective method. So in this video, I'd like to go through 7 key strategies to finding paid work. One of them is online self-submissions, but there's a few things that you could do to increase or improve your chances of actually getting called in over everybody else who's submitting. So let's get started. So strategy number 1 is online self-submissions. And what you need to do is basically, well, first, you're obviously going to sign up to one of those casting sites or a few of them like Mandy.com, Backstage, ActorsAccess.com. There's plenty of online casting submission sites. Some of them cost money, some of them are free, but you basically sign up, you create a profile, you put your headshot, your resume, any reel or footage that you have on there, and then you can begin applying to casting calls and sending yourself in. But here's the key. If you want to actually stand out on those sites, don't just apply for everything. Look really carefully and apply to things that are connected directly with your brand, characters that you could really play perfectly. And when you submit, if you can include a cover letter, make sure in that cover letter to very clearly state why you are right for the part, why this part is like made for you. Because casting directors want to know whether the actor that they're bringing in is going to be good for the part. And if you can explain why you're so experienced in that character type or why you've always wanted to play that role and it makes a connection and they actually read it, you're much more likely to get called in. Of course, keep that cover letter really short, but your cover letter is one of the best ways to stand out amongst the crowd on online submission sites. The second way to get more acting work or to submit yourself is by having an agent or a manager. I've created a course called Land an Agent, which is all about how to get an actual talent agent. It goes into a lot of depth on the whole process, how to find them, how to connect with them, how to network with them, and even how to manage them to make sure that they're working for you effectively. But when you get an agent or a manager, they have specific, special access to breakdowns online, and they can actually submit you, especially for those bigger projects like big film and television primetime stuff. They can submit you to those, whereas normally you might not have access to be able to submit to those types of productions. An agent or a manager will get you that access. So that's the second way to submit for work. The third way to get more acting work is by actually networking with people. And this usually means attending events. Most of the events that you'll attend will be in person, although since the coronavirus situation, a lot more events are moving online, which is kind of cool. But of course, it's never going to be as potent, the connection that you make with somebody if you're talking over the internet than if you're there in person, because you can see body language and all that. But anyway, the networking idea is basically that you can go to showcases, you could go to special networking events in the industry, you can go to film festivals, all kinds of things, and you meet different people by being approachable and friendly. All you need to do is just kind of go up to people and say like, oh, hey, have you ever been to this event before? You can just ask people random things, try to find something in common, and then start up a conversation with them. And it becomes fairly easy once the conversation is going. As long as, if you feel a little bit awkward about it, you can ask questions about them. You don't want to generally just go up to someone and be like, yeah, so I'm an actor and I've been doing this for a number of years, blah, blah, blah. You want to say like, oh, have you ever been to this event before? Oh, tell me, what kind of work do you do? The more that you ask other people, the less awkward it's going to feel, the less self-promotional and all that. But you connect with people. You get their business card or their contact information, and then you do the heavy lifting of following up with them. So you'd want to create some sort of simple spreadsheet and write people's contact information in there, and then you email, you reach out to them, and then keep in touch with them like every 6 to 8 weeks or so, just so that you keep yourself top of mind. And remember, it's really important that you're the one who actually follows up with them. So don't go to an industry thing and give out your business card to a bunch of people, because they're just going to throw it out. Instead, your job is to get as many business cards as possible and then follow up with those people yourself. The fifth way to get work is by attending workshops and seminars, especially ones run by agents or casting directors. Now, I know a lot of actors believe that these types of workshops are scams. The truth is, maybe a small portion of them might be scams, but most of them are actually legitimate. Now, these workshops generally don't post a thing saying that you will get work by attending them. The reason that you're going is not necessarily to get cast or signed right there on the spot. It's more so to be able to meet people so that you can network with them and then follow up, and eventually down the line, they might hire you for something. So I've actually created a separate video that's all about these workshops and how to best prepare for them and the strategy that you use. But for now, I just want to say that the number one thing that you should keep in mind when you're going to these is that you're not just going to any of the ones that have big name casting directors or big name agents. You want to go to ones that are specifically being run by people that you want to target. And that means figure out which productions you want to be in, and then find out who's casting or what agents are working with those casting directors, and then find out through using Google what workshops those specific casting directors or agents are putting on and go to them. So you're not just going to anything, you're going to the ones that are being run by the people you already want to meet. Another way to find more work is by attending open calls or talent searches. Now, it can definitely be up in the air because some of them are not very professional, or they're very disorganized, and you might need to wait in line for hours and hours. But the fact of the matter is that if you are highly talented, most of the people who go to these open calls are highly not talented. And you can easily stand out in an audition by being someone extremely talented. When they have an open call, it means that they're generally looking for someone who, isn't very easy to find. So if you have some sort of unique quality and you fit in with what they're looking for in the open call and you're talented, you can go there and stand out and actually get a really cool gig from that. Another way to get work, especially in theater, is by attending equity principal auditions. These are EPAs, they're called. And basically, the union requires certain productions to host open casting calls for big roles in theater productions that are part of the union. And in general, if you're a member of Equity, Actors Equity, you're pretty much guaranteed a spot to go to one of the EPAs. If you're not a member, it could be up in the air. You might not be able to get in. But in general, EPAs are a really good way to at least get experience auditioning for major productions. And occasionally they will actually hire an actor who's not even in the union at all for a huge role. So it's a really cool opportunity. I definitely recommend EPAs. Finally, the last way to get more work is by volunteering. Many casting directors who hold casting sessions need readers. You could volunteer for free as a reader. Just make sure you're doing a good job. You can also offer to help out at film festivals, or you could help on set for directors and stuff. And many people appreciate the free help, and they'll remember you, and you can form friendships with them. And then next time they're casting for something or they're looking to shoot their next film, they're going to think of you. So offering to volunteer, offering your time for free is a very, very potent and appreciated way to connect with new people and, add to that spreadsheet. Okay, so those are the 7 key ways to find more work in the industry. And if you follow at least a couple of them and you're consistent about it, you'll see the number of bookings that you get start going up dramatically over the next few months.